Cynthia Corsetti, the executive coach. I'm back here on step 2 of how to create an executive level career transition in only 3 steps. You know what's exciting and kind of a positive thing about being an executive and a professional as you go into this? You already know that you have what it takes to succeed. You already know that you're good. And believe me, that's half the battle. People get very nervous and worried about, can I do this? Can I do this? But because you're already at a successful level, you already know that answer. It's just that, well, you want to do it again, only this time you want to do it somewhere entirely different. But don't worry. You've got this, I promise. In the last video, we talked about step 1 in the process, and that was reflect. If you haven't had time to go through and watch that video, I'm going to encourage you to go ahead and do that because that's the groundwork for the video that we're working on right now, step 2. And this is step 2 of the 3-step career transition path, and this is rebuild, okay? And here's what we'll cover today. 1, there are 4 different types of career transitions that you can make. We're going to go through all 4 so that you can determine which one sounds right for you. 2, before you can rebuild anything at all, you have to get clear on what you want. And 3, the skills on your resume are great, but just because you have the skill doesn't mean you want to use it. We're going to talk about that. And finally, number 4, we're going to talk about how to create a clarity plan that will help you get laser focused on where you want to go from here. So let's get started. First, let's talk about types of transitions. Number 1 is upward trajectory. This means that you're in a field you like, you're in an industry you like, and maybe even a company that you like. Your goal is to move up within the ranks. It may require a job change or a company change, but it's still the easiest of the types of transitions that you can make. Number 2 is an industry transition. That's not quite as easy as the first one, but still it's fairly easy. Say you're a finance person and you're in engineering field. And now you want to be a finance person, only you want to do it in the healthcare industry. There's definitely a learning curve, but you're going to take all of your expertise and experience and knowledge about finance with you. So it's a smaller learning curve. You just have to learn about healthcare. The 3rd type of transition is core talent transition. And this is where it's going to start to get a little bit harder, but I promise it's still doable. It's just going to be a little trickier. In a core talent transition, you change your job function entirely. So that finance person in engineering still wants to stay in engineering, only now he wants to be in the marketing department. The finance person wants to be a marketing executive in the same engineering company or the same engineering industry. So he's going to have some basic knowledge on the content and the engineering knowledge, but there's going to be a huge learning curve about marketing. And finally, number 4 is a complete transition. Here you're changing both the function and the industry, and it's definitely the hardest one to make. It is definitely doable, but it's going to require just a bit more finesse. Once you determine the type of transition that you think you want to make and the difficulty of it, you're going to need to get clarity, and you can't go anywhere unless you're clear. It's sort of if you were trying to build a jigsaw puzzle without the box top, right? You shape the edges first because you know that the frame is easy because you can see the edges. And then you're left with all these pieces scattered out on the table in front of you, and you're picking them up and trying to jam them to see where they fit. When it comes to your career, we don't want to do that because as frustrating as it is to try to do with a puzzle without the box top, building a career without that visual picture of what you want to create can be 10 times more frustrating. So it's really important to think about that. You want to take the time to ask yourself, what do I want? And why do I want it? It's going to help you begin to paint that clarity picture. You want to be really specific here. You want to consider what income you want and need. Consider if you want to start your own business or work for a company. You want to think about what size company that might be and what industry. The more clear that you can be in this process, the better. Clarity starts in your head. And if you're anything like me, there's a lot of stuff going on in there. So you want to get this career thing as clear as you can on paper so you have a very good visual of what that's going to look like. Next, why? Why do you want this future? How is it going to impact your life? And what will be different once you achieve it? When you make a pivot in your career, there are going to be huge challenges. It's going to be hard. People are going to tell you you shouldn't do it. When you can connect to the why, that's going to be what pulls you through and helps you keep going forward. Because it's going to get hard, I promise. But connect to your why and know what you want and why you want it, and that's going to be what you need. Once you determine the type of transition that suits you, and you've determined what you want, and you're kind of clear on why you want it, it's time to take a look at the resume. Your first instinct is going to be look at it and ask yourself, what skills do I have that can transfer to another field? But if you're considering a full-scale career pivot, it's more important to look at those skills and look at that resume and say, what skills do I even want to use? What do I want to transfer? Sometimes we're good at things in our job and we just don't like to do them. So taking an inventory of your skills and deciding which ones that you enjoy using. If you're good at bringing a new product to market, but you hate to do it, it's not a skill that you want to transfer with you into your new career. So I don't want you to just inventory things that you can take with you. I want you to inventory things that you want to take with you. Focus on those you want to use as you move forward. Determine if you need to up-level any of those skills, if you need to take a new class or take a training. Just decide what you need to learn and build on and just go for it. This is the time to do it as you're rebuilding. This new career is going to be your next decade, so you want it to be fulfilling, so you want to do what you like to do, not just what you've always done in the past. So once you've done those things that I've mentioned here, you can begin to make your clarity plan. That's going to be a document where you spell out the type of transition that you want to make. You spell out clearly the types of companies, the kinds of organizations that line up with your core values. We talked in the last video about the importance of core values. As you begin to rebuild, you've got to outline those core values and you've got to say which kind of industries or companies are in alignment with that. That's really an important piece of this. This is going to give you clarity as you look at what new business opportunities, new job opportunities, and it's going to help you rule out things that won't be a good fit, because the absolute last thing that you want to do is make a career pivot and find out 3 months down the road that you hate it. We want to make this the right decision. So going through this process and doing the reflection that we talked about in the last video, getting clear on what you value, and then coming into this lesson and doing the things that you need to know, like making that clarity picture and deciding what type of transition, those are going to be the things that help you gain clarity on what is going to be the right move for you so that you can do it without second guessing yourself. And once you get all of this together, you're going to be able to narrow down your options and all of your choices. You're going to be able to target the right industry and the right job. You're going to have better leverage for your social networks as well. When you know where you're headed, and we're going to talk about this more in the next video when we talk about rebrand, when you know what you want and you know how to ask for help, you're going to be able to leverage all of your contacts that much better, and you're going to be able to make much faster progress. This is a really exciting time, and I know it can feel overwhelming, but it doesn't have to. Just follow the steps in this model. Stay committed. Stay committed to doing the work, and you're going to find what you're hoping for. A new career with purpose and passion and fulfillment. And you'll find the money too. Promise, it'll all fall into place. Let's review what we covered in this video. First, we talked about the 4 different types of career transition, and we discussed the difficulty level of each one of them. 2, you learned the importance of getting really crystal clear on what you want and why you want it. 3, we covered why you should look at your resume and discover the skills that you want to transfer, not just the ones that you can transfer. And 4, finally, we talked about creating a document, a clarity plan that outlines all of this to help you narrow down and streamline your search. I promised that I was going to keep these videos short so that you can get back to work. Tomorrow, I'll be back with the final step in the model, which is rebrand. If you have any questions on any of this, feel free to schedule a strategy call and I'll help you create your strategy plan for your career that's very specific to you.